You know me, I love the camera.
Well, I can't see. I changed the computer. Tina's proud of me for doing it, but I don't see the rest of you guys, so you're gonna need help or who else is here.
We're all here.
Oh, good.
All set, Madam Chair.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Urban Redevelopment, Renewal and Planning Committee. Today is Wednesday, April the 28th, 2021. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Chairwoman Harris,
Present.
Vice Chairman Narducci,
Here.
Councilman Correa, absent. Councilwoman Castillo,
Present.
Councilman Espinal.
Present.
We have 4 present and 1 absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you so very much, Madam Clerk. Right now, we're gonna hopefully hear from the solicitor. It's a solicitor here.
Yes, Madam Chair, we have Jillian Barker with us this evening.
Welcome, Ms. Barker. Can you please give us
Hello,
a legality of
everyone.
this meeting, solicitor?
Yes, of course. So pursuant to the governor's executive order, it is A-okay for you all to have this meeting on virtually and on Zoom. And so you may all proceed as you would if you were in person. And
Well,
I'm
Ms.
here to
Barker-
answer any other questions that you have.
Ms. Barker, that's the best we've heard of this introduction of how we can just go on and do what we have to do. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Very exciting.
You're very
You're
welcome,
ready.
Councilwoman.
Hi, Jillian.
Hi, Councilman. How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm good.
Besides the members of the committee that have been presented, is there any other councils available? I mean, here, Madam Clerk.
Not that I can see, Madam Chair.
No, next question is, all our presenters are here?
I believe so. I do have a question for Mr. Rotundo. I noticed that your name is also on the attendee side. Did you happen to share your link with someone? Christopher? Okay, Madam Chair. As far as I can see, we do have First Works here and someone from DARE. So yes, our presenters are here.
Okay. Unfortunately, this technology is what it is. I can't wait till we personally get back together and pull these meetings together. Madam Clerk, I see you, Deputy Clerk, I see you shaking your head. So with that being said, I would like for the clerk to please read item 1 into the agenda.
Communication from His Honor, the Mayor, dated March 26, 2021, submitting the Community Development Block Grant Budget for Program Year 2021-2022.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'm gonna move something around. I'm gonna have the presenters present first. The presentation from presenters, and then we'll talk with our Emily Freeman, a director of the block grant. So, Madam Clerk, could you please present the first presenter?
Yes, Madam Chair, the first presenter we have is Ms. Kathleen Fletcher, the Executive Artistic Director from First Works.
Did all the council members receive their packet?
I did.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so very much to Alex Menendez, who have been getting these packets. Him and Tina have been working really hard to make sure we get these presentations in the mail. May I ask the presenter to please present herself, announce herself, present herself
Sure.
for record. I just can't do it today. For the record.
Well, you're helping me relax. So thank you. Thank you all so much. My name is Kathleen Fletcher. I'm the Executive Artistic Director and founder of First Works. And, it is really wonderful to get to speak with you today. I know if we were in person, we would also be bringing some of our students or teachers to speak as well. But First Works started in 2004 and has had a long partnership with the city of Providence with many dimensions to it. For those of you who are just learning about First Works, we were founded as a turnaround from First Night Providence. And First Night Providence went dark, and the strategic plan behind it was First Works. And we started with a $15,000 grant from the city of Providence. And we're very festival-based initially, but that seed support has made a tremendous amount of difference, as has past CDBG support for our education program. So I thank you all for that and for this invitation, and we'll share my screen. I have permission to do that, right? Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go. So is that visible to everybody who has visibility?
Yes.
Good. Okay. So again, we have been working through the arts to build the creative capital since 2004. A lot of different dimensions to our work to do that, and goals to foster cultural tourism, to build community, and particularly today, talking about our education program. But the idea of festivals, the First Works Prov Festival way back in 2004, and securing funding from the National Endowment for the Arts to seed what has become PBD Fest was really central to, I think we're 17 years old now, our first couple phases, as were live, as will be again, live performances at the vets, at PPAC, in neighborhoods, at the Cranston Street Armory. But increasingly during this past year and through our growth, how we serve Providence students, what difference we can make, what impact we can have, has become kind of the spearhead of our organization. And let's see, good. Okay. So in 2009, we did a year-long project with cellist Yo-Yo Ma and the Silk Road Project that went into schools all year long with artists from the Silk Road Project and a curriculum that Stanford University had designed for Yo-Yo Ma's group. And that was really where our education program kind of took off, from serving 124 students to serving several thousand. And the kind of combination of not just seeing performances, but experiencing in school, the arts in school, participating, learning, encountering, has been just from that point on an essential part of our program. You can see students performing with musicians, with their teachers on stage with the Silk Road Project, and then in the space at Hope High School, Yang Wei, jamming with a student. And these experiences, though arts-based, have never been just arts for art's sake. They have always been about how we really are fostering the success of students in school, work, and life. We have begun to collect stories from students who have participated, say, for 6 years, starting in 5th grade, and are able to say, I'm the first person in my family to go to college, and I used some of either what I had learned from FirstWorks or what I had done with FirstWorks as part of my college application. We've both been, especially through this year, taking our library of curriculum and video and have had over 13,000 views by students and teachers who are using these resources in this time of, largely being remote and struggling and, needing to really engage students. And I think the arts in particular have had a new role in learning because of that engagement. And we see so much of a difference when I grew up, but even in the past number of years in Providence, of programs being cut and really finding that without charging, free of charge, we're providing these programs to schools, to teachers, and to students, and really connecting often with the name FirstWorks for the first time, students to the arts. It's really beautiful when a student comes and speaks to us at FirstWorks, the FirstWorks board, and says, I had never been to a live performance before. I had never been in a theater, and I am realizing that I have my own voice and can express myself. And actually, one of our favorite stories comes from actually testifying to this committee several years ago, where a student said, FirstWorks isn't teaching me how to be a dancer or an artist. It's teaching me that I can be anything I want to be. I can be a teacher. I can be a judge. So that kind of aspirational part is very, very key to us. We're really now and going forward harnessing technology. And pictured here is Mixashon, an Indigenous jazz musician, performing at our series that we piloted last summer at Roger Williams Park, but also participating with students in virtual learning, and a curriculum up on the right that you can see that teachers can use lesson plans. So again, the live performance or even the virtual performance is just the center of activities, learning, conversation, bringing many elements into what we call arts integrated learning. Mixashon also was part of our Earth First program, which brings the sciences in and uses the arts to teach environmental stewardship and also issues of climate change. So these things all kind of focus in the arts. For all of us, this has been, such a period of adaptation, and our pivot was really to go immediately in March 2020 to virtual learning. We formed a partnership with Steer Media, Providence-based, founded by Carlos Toro, and immediately started doing weekly lessons. Another piece of our work, and I'll flip the focus back to education, which is what we're talking primarily with you about today, but is technical support for local artists, a mentoring program that combined marketing, fundraising, and video profiles to help them as arts businesses move forward. And now is going to be part of our education program as well. And as I mentioned before, last summer, we piloted a series at Roger Williams Park. We're expanding that, and we'll be beginning at the end of June with live outdoor performances, but also an outdoor classroom. So FirstWorks has branched this year into outside of school times. We did a 2-week summer camp in multidisciplinary arts, where music, where dance, where theater, where spoken word, and are excited this summer to really be engaging our students and their families in both learning and performances outdoors. And here is just a 90-second piece from what we call the Uplift Project. This is the technical support for artists. This is Sukio Ross, and I'll let this speak for itself.
The way we do anything is a creative process that we had to learn and that we'll continue to do. The arts is one of those things where everyone has it in them. You know, there are people who say they can't dance. They can. You definitely can dance. You have your own natural rhythm, your own natural movement language. That's your language. That's your movement. That's your dance. That's your creative side. And it makes us feel good. It makes us feel alive. It makes us feel connected to each other, no matter where we're at. Because of dance, specifically breakdance, I got a chance to work with every single community that we went to. And I'm from a marginalized neighborhood, a gang neighborhood. And again, you know, it was rough. It's been a beautiful experience because I've gotten a chance to meet the communities that are similar to where I'm from. And I always say this, I feel like I'm being redundant, but this arts is something that has changed so many lives and allowed us to keep living these lives. We are gonna tell folks who we are. And I wanna make sure that I keep doing this in this kind of way so that folks understand that your story is yours. You tell it, not anybody else. And I'm still doing that until this day.
Let's see if I can get us back. We have been really at a point of further expansion and development of FirstWorks education, doing a strategic plan and looking at what the needs are, with teachers and educators helping us understand what they need and how we can at FirstWorks contribute to strengthening our city. Really, the evidence about arts education experiences from study after study is showing how they make a difference in the whole life and future of students. I know you have this, so I won't read it all. But this point of growth and our request for support has to do with implementation of our logic model, adding evaluation to say, how does this impact students? Expanding from a part-time education manager. We also have a paid graduate student intern, but to a full-time education director, adding that. And, you know, really following FirstWorks philosophy, kind of, if you build it, they will come, you know, in investing in this program. Our CDBG proposal focused on both what we call arts exposure, which reaches across many, many schools in Providence, but an in-depth kind of building with 3 core schools with very regular experiences and opportunities. And then teacher professional development, which we have offered for each professional development day. And our last enrollment by teachers was 105 teachers. So that really blew us out of the water. The engagement and interest in how what we believe is makes systemic change possible. That if you change even one student's life, that's incredible. But if you can change and give teachers tools to carry forward and resources they can use in many different contexts and subjects, that's part of our idea of change. And really central to our work from the very beginning, but has been diversity and equity. And we, about 3 years ago, named the performances, the workshops, the curriculum that we are building, Raise Your Voice. And these are some of the artists who have been part of that program, Sweet Honey in the Rock, performing with youth. A GJAC on Turtle Island is Heather Henson, who is Jim Henson, the Muppets founder's daughter, who works with Indigenous companies and also climate change. Daniel Bernard Romaine is with us for the second year as our artistic ambassador and really is collaborating with Providence artists. He has a group called the Humanist Septet. Though we're known for world-class artists, we see that as world-class artists at home. And also, really focusing on Providence as a creative capital center of innovation. So there's a lot of exchange, whether it is an international artist or, as I said, our artistic ambassador, Daniel. So, thinking of world-class artists, Wynton Marsalis, arguably the greatest trumpeter of his generation. I think we first came to you to support a partnership with Jazz at Lincoln Center, which has been deeply kind of involved with us in curriculum development, involved with students, and even creating performances with students at PCTA, at PBD Fest, opportunities that are experiential learning. And something new this year that we are really committed to is recognizing, the students that we are talking to, over 60% Latinx, offering programs that are in Spanish and English, or in Spanish and translated, and opening up what we call widening the circle, and deepening our the access. And here is a second very short video from a student who participated with a Venezuelan musician, Sofia Viola. We had two musicians work with us from Venezuela. One, Fidel Nadal, who was supposed to appear at the Bohms Theater a year ago this spring, is now collaborating with a local Providence artist. And that's what we like to see, fostered, both how this strengthens the community in Providence, the cultural community, and what it offers our students. So here's Billy.
Cuando entré el martes y todo, me sorprendió que ella hablara español, y puedo decir que me sentí como más cómoda al estar ahí cuando ella estaba contestando las preguntas que le hacían.
And what Bailey just said about Sofia Viola, she was just talking about how comfortable she felt hearing her speak in Spanish. The whole presentation was in my language. So, it is so great to have them interact with people from around the world. People like them, they're multilingual.
And this brings me to the end of the presentation. Ernest Cox, who is the director of curriculum for the Providence School district had offered to appear with me, and Zoom being a lot different than a live in-person meeting, instead we have two things that he wrote to share with you. He's been very instrumental in helping us set up our professional development for teachers, which he called a very powerful framework for transformative teaching and learning. And then also wanted to share his endorsement. FirstWorks has provided a forum by which we can explore the purpose of arts in our lives. So that is the end of my PowerPoint, and I'm certainly happy to go further in depth or talk more about any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. You've been very, very thorough with your presentation, your organization. I think even some of the questions that I did have, you were able to answer it through your presentation. Right now, I'm going to open it up for our committee members. If they have any questions for you, please at this time. I cannot see your hand, so you can approach the floor.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Vice Chairman Narducci.
Thank you. As I said before, with these type of organizations are very important to the youth in our city right now, more than ever, because of the simple fact that, as I stated last week, arts and music are non-existing now in most of our schools. And if it wasn't for these type of programs, a lot of the youth in our neighborhoods would not be experiencing art, theater, music. So I think it's a great organization to support. The only thing, Miss Kathleen, is when I look, I don't see my ward represented in here. I think FirstWorks should start coming into the fourth ward.
All right, Councilman.
You gotta get into the fourth ward.
Catherine, thank you so much for what you guys do.
Well, thank you. And we hear you. This is what expansion is about, right? So we're poised to do that. We will still and are producing PVD Fest and doing our performances, but education is something that all of our futures depend on. And this is where we really see the investments we need to make, the fundraising we need to do, and the expansion of capacity to really focus on the kids. Ward 4.
Thank you.
So I want to thank Vice Chairman Narducci because he wanted you guys to present tonight, and I'm glad he did because I learned a lot more about the organization. And I totally agree with Councilman Vice Chairman Narducci about the importance of art and music and all types of education around arts for our young people, because that's a part of their creativity. It was a part of ours. So I agree with you, Vice Chairman, that shouldn't be denied. Is there anyone else?
Thank you.
Pro Temp Espinal, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I also want to rise to congratulate Kathleen, that wonderful program of Music Works. There was a line that stood out, and that was to explore the purpose of us in our lives. I mean, that says it all. And that is a very inspiring line. And that is a very helpful line with the kids. So I want to thank you again. And you are in my ward, which is Ward 10. So Councilman Narducci, what can I say? They came to me first. Thank you so much, Kathleen. This is a wonderful program and I wholeheartedly support it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, I'm
Madam
trying.
Chair?
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to, something happened in my computer. I'm trying to, oh boy. Okay. Madam Clerk?
Yes, so just if we could note that Councilwoman LaForge is present and she does have her hand raised.
Okay, thank you so very much for acknowledging her. Councilwoman LaFortune, I seen you in one of the brochures in the education piece. Welcome tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I just want to also thank you for Councilman Narducci for really advocating so that First Works can present tonight. I'm just so honored to have had the opportunity to partake in some of the initiatives. And I will say to Councilman Narducci, there has been students from your ward who have participated. They were in the audience with Angelique Jojo was there. They also came to Black Violin. And what is so beautiful about the work that First Works does is that it touches people, so many youth and families across different sectors and throughout the whole city and as well as state. One of the things that was said in the video was, your story is yours, you tell it and no one else. And the importance, it highlights the importance of creative and expressive art, and how this program brings arts into the community. I mean, just thinking about what Danielle Bernard is doing, who's a Haitian, who's a son of Haitian immigrants, and the diversity in the work that is brought to our city is quite profound. So I just want to thank Kathleen for just the work that she has done, the investments that have made, because there are many places you go and you see art, but it's not reflective of the diverse community. And everything that First Works does truly represents the beauty of our city. And it's a gem that we have here. I mean, I've lived in 2 major cities outside of Providence, in Miami and in Philly. And I think this, this program brings the level of art and creativity that some of these major cities have. So thank you again for just the work that you've done, the investment, and also just bringing in the various communities into these spaces. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And I just also want to recognize that you have done much more than just attend our events, that you were most recently, which is a year ago now, but anyway, the facilitator of a conversation with Angelique Kidjo at Classical High School in their auditorium and I'm really glad that Ward 4 students were there, but for parents and students. And at that point with Classical, that was such an inspiring event that we had laid plans for that to be a hub for other schools to come and really utilize the auditorium for our student matinees and further live programs. So thank you for what you've contributed, both with Danielle Bernard Remain and Angelique Kidjo, and the students that you have brought to Black Violin, where Community Music Works students also joined Black Violin. That was part of what we crafted together, but appreciate your support.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the presentation tonight. The city is very happy to be a partner and be a partnership with First Works, and we appreciate the work that you do. And thank you for just bringing that energy to us tonight about the arts. And we really appreciate having you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Thank you all.
Madam Clerk, may we have the second presenter?
Madam Chair, before we go to the second presenter, may we enter?
Oh, yes, we may. Absolutely. Let's do that. May I have a motion to enter the First Works presentation into the as an exhibit, please?
Motion made.
Motion made by Councilman Esmal, second by
Second the motion.
Vice Chairman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we have into that. Now, Madam Clerk, may we go to the second presenter?
Yes, Madam Chair. So next, we invited Kia Bryant from the director from Direct Action for Rights and Equality, also known as DARE, and she has sent along Mr. Christopher Samai Rotundo, Ms. Terry Wright, And joining them will be Jennifer Wood from the Rhode Island Center for Justice, who is a partner on this project with them, and they are all present.
Okay, thank you. I will hear from one person from there and also the person from the legal, what you saying from, who else is with them? Madam Clerk, one more. Say that again.
Jennifer Wood.
Oh, Jennifer, okay, absolutely, all right, thank you. May you put them into the.
So I was going to defer to Terry to kick it off from DARE.
Sure, thank you everyone for having me. I was on my computer, I'm now on my phone. To start, legal representation.
Ms. Wright, please, could you please present yourself, your name and your organization for the records, please?
I'm sorry, Terry Wright, DARE, Direct Action for Rights and Equality. I'm the housing organizer.
Welcome. We're glad to have you tonight, and we're happy to hear from about your presentation tonight. Did all the council people receive their copy? Thank you. All right, you may proceed, Ms. Wright.
Thank you. Low-income families, legal representation, homeless prevention, case management. There is decades of healing that needs to be addressed, that continues to be passed down through generations. I'm talking about redlining, gentrification, unlawful evictions, discrimination. Why would we not prevent evictions and homelessness? Pre-pandemic, housing crisis. Families are suffering and worried sick and traumatized due to the threat alone of being evicted at a moment's notice. It's traumatic. And a barrier to renters obtaining housing in the future, as eviction records are not sealed and pose a grave risk of being thought of as negative and overlooked by landlords and property owners. Loopholes in the federal CDC allow for such evictions to take place at the landlord and property owner's discretion. And here's where I talk about the importance of the CDBG block grant and how important the work is. And legal assistance, making sure Rhode Island residents have adequate housing, safe housing, running water, heat, and that they are represented during landlord-tenant problems as they arise as part of the Landlord-Tenant Act. Throughout this pandemic, there has been a wave of evictions for reasons other than late payment to non-payment, which denies protecting tenants experiencing hardships due to COVID-19. Some landlords, they just don't want their tenants. They literally want to throw them away due to no fault of the tenant. And they're using the loopholes in the federal CDC to evict them, and tenants bear the brunt force of being evicted, intimidated by their landlords. Basically, we care about the livelihood of the quote underscored in our renter communities. I don't really like to use the word, what is poor? The BIPOC community, Black, Indigenous, people of color, marginalized folks who are on I would say a fixed income, but a very low income. Evictions, pose an increased health risk. And I always think about the intersection of, housing and health, and, there's folks out there living on the streets. They've lost their jobs. Housing is health, and housing is, an essential item. And the Center for Justice has been there with us from the beginning of the pandemic. I mean, with this wave of evictions and a CDC moratorium that's not protecting everyone, this grant has saved so many lives. And I think it would be just a tragedy if, we weren't in the places that we are in right now. Like, we are really in this pandemic, and people's lives are hanging in the balance. And the Center for Justice is there. They also have, I don't want to say what Jen's going to say, but you can actually get legal consultation on Tuesday evenings at 6 p.m. online for folks who have compromised immune systems, or, they can't, get out of the house. They can get legal consultation. There's always a lawyer that's live on a Zoom to help for those who are seeking self-help and need to know a little more moving forward. With evictions, is for tenants to know their rights. And I sit here and it's mind-boggling, because it didn't have to get this bad, this housing crisis that we're in. And just these landlords that are allowed to do what they want to do. We live in a community with high rent and no rent control. And evictions are bound to happen. So I'm just really thankful that this grant allows the Center for Justice to save lives. Actually, to stop evictions and save lives.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. That was a great presentation. I think Ms. Wright, you are absolutely right. I think that is a concern of all of the council, especially in the pandemic, and knowing that this is a crisis, a horrible place to be in time. So thank you for your presentation. Ms. Woods, are you next?
I believe I am. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, she gave you a great introduction there to get on the floor. So we're ready for you. So please.
Thank you.
My name for the record and your organization, please.
My name is Jennifer Wood, and I'm the director of the Rhode Island Center for Justice. And I really do appreciate Terry's introduction, because it really reflects the essence of our CDBG application. And that is a partnership between DARE as the community outreach and education and community organizing arm of our joint work, and then the connection to our attorneys to assist members of the community who have been in communication with DARE and need that extra level of help in the court system. So we've, as a partnership, the Rhode Island Center for Justice and DARE have been participating in the CDBG program since before 2017, and very proud to be included in that program as part of what the city is providing to its residents in terms of support in the context of what has been pre-pandemic an affordable housing crisis, and will be post-pandemic an affordable housing crisis. During the pandemic, our partnership applied for and received enhanced support through the CDBG COVID funds, and we've been representing a lot of Providence residents and reaching out to literally hundreds of Providence residents in order to keep them stable and safe in their homes during the global pandemic. We have, just in the first 2 quarters of the year that we're in, reached over 300 Providence families directly with legal representation. And that means that there are 1,000 families that have been reached through community organizing, outreach, and education. Of the families just this year that we've interacted with and supported, 90% were extremely low income, not moderate income, extremely low income. And over 2/3 are families who identify as families of color. So this housing crisis disproportionately impacts low-income families of color, and that's been a known thing since before this crisis, but it has been exacerbated during the crisis. We're very grateful to be considered for inclusion 2022 CDBG grant program, and we as a partnership would be continuing to step up to use the CDBG funding as part of a comprehensive array of funding that we work for to move towards a right to counsel for defense of housing in the city. And that's part of a bigger strategy, and CDBG funding is part of that strategy. And we have worked diligently to find other sources to supplement that and really try to reach as many Providence residents as possible. Before the pandemic, there were 8,000 evictions a year filed in Rhode Island, with the majority of those being in the city of Providence. And based on national research, we expect there to be up to 18,000 in the 2020-2021 12-month period, as the CDC moratorium is scheduled to expire in June. Even if it's extended again, it will be ending. And we know that there will be many, many Providence residents who will be impacted by that and will be facing the loss of their home unless they have access to the support they can get through DARE and to their support that they can get through attorneys from the Center for Justice. Our approach is outreach and education through DARE, connecting families to help. There's a big opportunity in our state for rental assistance through federal dollars that have come into the state to support tenants and landlords by getting rent arrearages that have been related to the pandemic paid. And so the outreach and education is so critically important to inform people of their rights under the CDC moratorium and to connect low-income tenants to rental assistance. Up to 15 months of rent can be paid through these programs. It is literally life-saving. So making that connection, connecting people to help, even in light of the rental assistance programs that are available, often low-income tenants need a lawyer to navigate those waters. They need us to get involved to negotiate with a landlord, particularly where maybe an eviction has already been filed and the eviction is being held at bay while the rental assistance program is in the process. And it sometimes takes a long time for the rental assistance to be resolved. So we are going to court every day during this period, asking the court system to give tenants more time, to give them more time to get their landlord paid through rental assistance, and to keep them safely in their homes. Finally, when negotiation and rental assistance and outreach and education are not successful, we have litigation to fall back on. And in whether it's during the pandemic or before the pandemic, traditionally in Rhode Island and across the country, 95% of landlords who file an eviction and go to court are represented by an attorney. 95% of tenants are not. That is simply an insurmountable power imbalance, to be in court on your own without a trained professional there to assist you. So when we go through outreach and education, connecting people to help, negotiating resolutions, ultimately, sometimes you just need a lawyer. And sometimes you just need that person to stand next to you and vindicate your rights. Many of these evictions involve substandard housing conditions and other things that if you have a lawyer standing next to you, you can really fight for your rights and make a difference in whether or not you're going to have to move out, when you would have to move out, whether or not conditions in your home will be repaired by a landlord, and what the economic consequences of all that may be. So we really feel very grateful to the city for this ongoing support, the relationship that we've had with the CDBG program now over a period of years. And we see it as a critically important part of building out the infrastructure in the city to help low-income tenants with a right to defend themselves when they're at risk of losing their home. And happy to answer any questions, as I'm sure Terry is as well.
At this time, is there any questions from the
Madam Chair, if I may,
Councilman Pro Temp?
again, I don't have a question because I fully understand the type of work that they do. And I'm just glad that they exist and I do this kind of work. I mean, housing is a human right. Everyone should have a place and a decent place to live. Also knowing that landlords actually have businesses and they rent out those apartments, so they also have a right to get paid. So this type of program sort of like comes in between and try to bridge any differences, and the work that they do where it's like Jennifer explained, where they're going to court representing clients, it's something that is needed, something that I do well. So I am in full support of something like this. Thank you, Jennifer, and thanks to Terry.
Okay. Do you, at this time, if there's no more questions or comments from the members of the committee, I'd like to thank you, Jennifer. Every year, you know, that you come and present, we really appreciate the work. It seems like it gets harder and harder. I know Ms. Wright had mentioned that the moratorium, people are still being evicted, even though the moratorium is on. I think that would be my question. Is that the case? People are still, in spite of the fact, there's still people finding ways to evict people through this moratorium.
Yes, thank you so much. That's such an important question, and it's really a source of a lot of confusion and misunderstanding in the community. The federal CDC did put in a limited moratorium that only prevents people from being moved out of their house if the reason for the eviction is non-payment of rent. And they restricted it, and that's, I think, in some ways that may have been unintended at first, but then it got established that way, and it's been very hard to change it. And what that has resulted in is two things. First of all, evictions are still being filed. Even evictions for non-payment of rent are being filed. They're going through the court system, and the judge can rule in favor of the landlord if the rent hasn't been paid and if they haven't been able to connect with rental assistance. So people are being evicted on paper. The CDC moratorium prevents them from actually having a sheriff come to the door and move their possessions onto the street corner, but they're still evicted on paper. And as soon as that moratorium ends, they would be moved out of that house without a further legal process. So that's extremely dangerous for families. In addition, because the CDC moratorium only covers evictions that are filed for non-payment, in Rhode Island, you can also file an eviction that just says, I just want my apartment back. It's called a termination of tenancy. It doesn't rely upon the payment or non-payment of rent. And those are not protected by the CDC moratorium. So in both of those cases, we've been going to court. Our colleagues at DARE have been working with families, finding out what their challenges are and referring them to us so that we can run into court and protect them, A, from having an eviction on their record, even if they are ultimately going to connect to rental assistance and get that turned around. And B, in case they're being evicted, quote, for reasons other than non-payment, in which case they could be moved out next week. There's nothing that's holding them and protecting them, which is a big misunderstanding about the CDC moratorium. So thank you for the opportunity to explain that. And I want to reassure all of the council members that we are working every day to try and prevent those from going forward.
Thank you. And the city welcomes the partnership. Thank you so very much. At this time, if there's nothing, no more on the subject, I would like to, I see Ms. Wright's hands up. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, what inequities exist in the system, and do we have equality and fairness moving forward?
Thank you. Thank you. We will, at this time, shift the agenda to Ms. Bunny, I'm sorry, Emily Freeman.
Madam
Before,
Chair.
do I have to
Madam
present this
Chair,
presentation?
can
Because
I
didn't
make-
know for sure because they didn't present it publicly.
Can
And
I make a-
Councilman, Vice Chairman, are you?
Yeah, I'd like
trying
to make a motion to accept the presentation from there.
Oh, I have a motion to accept the presentation from there. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Pro Tem Espinal. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Accept the presentation.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair,
Vice Chairman Narducci.
just a maybe to you as the chairwoman. Maybe taking item number 2 up and then going on to Emily and with the explanation of the.
Oh, no, I think we should, Councilman, something you really want to do is get this money out into the community. So I think we want to hear from Emily. If that's okay.
I just thought it might speed it up later on.
Oh, no, that will speed it up. We're going to speed up the part that you really love, which is getting people their money into their organizations. And Emily knows how to do that. So let's, at this time.
I love you, sister.
At this time, it is okay. We're gonna ask Ms. Emily Freeman to address the floor at this time. And before that, I think I'm just gonna go on and put the, ask for a motion. Can we have a, sorry about that. Just give me a second. Not my good day, guys. All right, we have a substitute for the ordinance for the item 1. So we have a substitute. Can I have a motion to enter this into the record?
Motion made to enter item number 1 into the record.
Second.
This is an ordinance. This is a substitute. This is a substitute ordinance. Excuse me. Go ahead, Tina.
I'm sorry. Can you both withdraw your motions, please?
Can you both? Okay.
Nope.
Withdraw your motion, Vice Chairman.
Withdraw my motion.
Withdraw your second.
Second, withdrawn.
All right, Madam Clerk, get us on the right track.
Motion to substitute the ordinance for the communication.
Yeah, ordinance to substitute.
Excuse me.
It's to substitute the ordinance for communication.
I make that motion.
I second that motion.
A motion have been made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, we have substitute. This time we're going to move it over to Emily.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Emily Friedman, Director of Housing and Community Development within the Department of Planning and Development. I'm pleased to join you again this evening to present on behalf of the 2020 to 2021 CDBG budget on behalf of Mayor Elorza. Now in front of you all, you have the 2021 to 2022 program year entitlement funding budget, which is now in ordinance format. This budget contains funding for community-based provision of services to meet basic and urgent needs, economic development and housing programs, as well as critical improvements to public infrastructure and facilities serving the basic needs of a variety of our population. So the goal at this point in time has been, and throughout, has been to work collaboratively to get this budget into a final form to enable smooth and timely adoption and passage. This budget, as a reminder of process, will then be incorporated into a final annual action plan for HUD that we will put out for public comment and submit to HUD for approval. The goal is to have all of our approvals in place from HUD before July 1 to ensure quick receipt and release of these funds. By ensuring that quick receipt of funds, we will avoid delays and reimbursements to our partners, which we know is critical at this moment, and allow us to take advantage of the summer and fall construction season. So I am, of course, here to answer any questions you might have. And I want to thank this committee again for what has been thus far a collaborative, fair, and thoughtful process. So thank you all.
Thank you, Emily.
Madam Chair, if I just may.
Vice Chairman Narducci.
I just want to say this because it might be the last time I say it this year. Our budget, not the mayor's budget.
Oh, yeah, we're going to hear that. Whose budget?
Our budget.
All right. Awesome. Great.
I have a better one, Madam Chair. The people's budget.
Pro Temp.
The people's budget. Thank you. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Madam Chair. This has been great working with you on this. And this money will go as quickly as possible to all of these organizations that are doing wonderful work in our city. Thank you so much.
All right. And I'll hear from Councilwoman Costilla.
Honey, I'm here.
Yeah, we are getting ready to do something magical here. So we want to make sure that you send it off as well, the budget.
And Madam Chair.
Our budget, city budget, neighbor budget, everybody budget.
I love it. We are fighting over the budget. That's good stuff. Well, one of the things I want to say, this have been a great process, just like Emily said. I really appreciate the transparency of it all. I appreciate Matt Shoemate, who I did not mention the last time by era. Cal Delgado, who made sure that the award balance stuff was in place. Also, our water council was already taken care of. And also other participants who have came and went on this, and also the committee who worked very hard. But we could not do anything without our wonderful clerks, especially this one, the deputy clerk. And I'm glad to have her because she definitely keep me on track. I'm not on track today. I'm really off track. So I'm glad you put me back on. That's a team. I believe we have a great team. Emily, we appreciate you. You've been great as always. And listening, you did your work. You worked very hard. And I know the community is, the neighbors, our neighbors in our community, and our residents really are going to be thankful because you always get us our funding first in any other city. So I believe that. So as the city councils decide tonight, let's take a motion from the floor.
Madam Chair.
If there's nothing else about this budget.
I'd like to make a motion to approve as amended.
There's a motion to approve the budget approve this ordinance as amended, as substituted into the record. Second by Councilman Espinal. All in favor? Aye. The ayes have, I'm sure, and it'll go before 2 council votes, and Emily would do just what she said she's going to do tonight. Thank you again, everyone.
And Madam Chair, I would also like to just thank Emily for her hard work too.
Yes.
And my man Kyle. I mean, you guys have been great throughout this whole process. You know, in the committee, we see what we do as as a committee, but you know, we don't realize how many phone calls we make personally to Kyle and to Emily and to the going back and forth. So thank you, and Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. You've been a great mentor throughout this whole thing, Councilman.
Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate it. And I also want to mention Alex Hernandez, who jumped in right away and started delivering our copies of and the hard work of the committee. Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, would you please read item 2 into the record, please?
Resolution establishing a ceremonial designation along Cortland Road as Sir Joyce Flowers Way.
I understand we have a memo we have to enter into the record.
Yes, Madam Chair, we actually have a few amendments we have to make along with this, but we do have a memo to enter, and I would be more than happy to read it into the record as well.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate it, Madam Clerk.
So the memo is from Nate Urso, the traffic engineer. And this is in regard to his opinion on changing this. And he states the Department of Public Works Traffic Engineering Division has reviewed the resolution to establish a ceremonial designation of Cortland Road as Sister Joyce Flowers Way. We researched the available data and determined there does not currently exist a ceremonial street name designation for Cortland Road. We therefore are in support of the ceremonial designation of the street. We will order and install the appropriate street name signs once the resolution is approved.
Great.
Madam Chair, motion to accept the letter as read.
Second.
Second. Thank you.
All in favor?
Yes.
Now you're pushing it.
The motion have been made and the letter have been read into the records. The motion been made and seconded by Councilman Espinal, Pro Tem Espinal, and all in favor. We all agree that it's going to records.
Yes.
So, is there any other?
Yes, Madam Chair. There are
Deputy.
There are two further amendments that need to be made.
Deputy.
The first is to the agenda item itself, where it says SR period. It should actually be amended to say, spell out the word sister.
I will accept the motion to amend where it says SR to say sister. I have the motion on the floor.
Second.
There's a motion made by Councilman Narducci, second by Councilwoman Priscilla. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The amendments have been made.
Thank you. The last amendment is to the resolution itself. It would be now therefore be it resolved paragraph, the last line. It would be the same amendment as the agenda where it states SR period. If we could please amend that to read sister spelled out.
Okay, in the resolution itself, where it says SR, I accept a motion to amend that it spells sisters.
She made Madam
Instead
Chair
of SR.
to amend it where it says SR to sister
In the resolution.
in the resolution.
Second.
So I have a motion to amend in the resolution, second by Councilman Pro Tem, not Espinal. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the amendments have been made. At this time, I'm gonna hear from the sponsor. And you guys gotta excuse me, I have a wicked headache. Now, I hate to be nagging on the, it's a part of the weather change. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair Harris. I am very, very happy that this has passed and that the traffic engineer has found there not to be any issues. Sister Joyce, for over 40 years, dedicated herself to the St. Michael Church as an administrator and as someone that was always there, making connections and helping people out. Many generations will benefit from the legacy of Sister Joyce, as she was so passionate, so giving, and so caring for her neighborhood and the people that live in the area of the South Side and St. Michael Church. She'll forever be remembered, and I'm so glad and grateful that this has gone through, and we'll be able to celebrate this summer the ceremony naming of Croyland Road. So just so very looking forward to it. So thankful for everyone that play a role in this, especially to my colleagues at City Council that co-sponsored this resolution. I am honored and grateful. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And Madam Chair, I would just like to echo those words that President Pro Tem. She was a fantastic person. Never asked for anything for herself. Everything she always asked for was to help other people. And I'm going to say it this way: God knows she will never be forgotten by many. And He created a perfect angel. Councilman Espinal, thank you for moving forward with this.
Thank you, Councilman.
And what's great about it is right near the church itself, where Croyland Road is. So this is beautiful in that area. So like you said, Pro Temp, she will be forever remembered in that area. So
Absolutely. And also, if I may quickly add, that Croyland Road will also get repaved this summer. So the residents are very happy and very welcoming to the idea. Thank you.
So, okay, Councilwoman Costello, Councilman Narducci, you're gonna have a nice road to stand on while we watch this the name change. That's great. Wonderful. I will entertain a motion from the floor if there's nothing else on the subject, unless Councilwoman Castillo, I know she is very familiar with St. Michael's as well.
Yeah, honey, I don't have anything to say right now. The motion is on the floor.
Yeah, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, if there's no further business before this honorable body,
I entertain a motion that we pass this resolution to full council.
As amended.
As amended.
As amended.
So I'll make the motion that we pass this resolution as amended.
To full council. All right. Motion have been made, second by Councilman Narducci. All in favor? Aye. All right. Councilman Narducci, what's your big speech?
Madam Chair, I just, if there's no further business before this honorable body, I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Well, you know, we're gonna accept your motion. Maybe not. I didn't even hear a second.
I'll second that, Mr. Narducci.
Okay, all right. Pro Tem, I'll take your second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Keep smiling, Deputy Clerk. Thank you so much, all of you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Everybody have a great night. Stay safe.
Good night, everybody.
Happy good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night, Councilwoman.
Good night. Bye, Emily.
Bye.